The Halfbrick Show.
Welcome to the Halfbrick Show, and thank you for joining us today in yet another exciting episode. I'm Carmen, the graphic designer from the marketing team, and I'm joined here in our floating studio by Aiden from customer support. Hello, Aiden.
Yes. Hello, Carmen. When you said floating, I'm scared of heights, so I hope it's not a real floating studio. I don't want to, that scares me. But anyway, hello. This week's chat, it feels like a good time to ask about your Halfbrick Plus card collection. I'd just love to hear how that Colossatron hunt is going.
Well, starting right away with the difficult questions, aren't you?
Sorry.
He still hasn't deigned to come home, so I'm just doing quests like crazy. And yeah, I would like to have a different answer, but luck hasn't been on my side recently.
That's okay. That's all right. Maybe we can
Very sad
interrogate
times.
today's guest, potentially, get some answers. Yeah, today we're going to be talking to Elliot, a designer from the Halfbrick Plus team. We'll find out if he knows where Colossatron is hiding as well.
Let's go. Welcome, Elliot. Who the brick are you? Tell us a bit about yourself, if you can, please.
First of all,
How are you
what's your
doing?
language? What's your language, young lady? No. Yeah, my name's Elliot. I am a product designer at Halfbrick at the moment, and I have been for a year. So it's my first games industry full-time job, so I was pretty excited about that. I currently live in Sydney, Australia, and in 2005 I finished my games degree, and then I went looking for jobs. Switched careers from just regular old product design and moved into product design, but in games.
Is it, sorry, the degree's in product design? Like, I'm assuming.
No, the degree was in games programming. Yeah.
Right, cool.
Yeah. Before that, I was doing product design for, like 15, 20 years. So, yeah.
So, for those who are listening that might not know what product design is, and especially why it sounds so futuristic, do you think you could give us a small definition of it?
I can't because no, I will. No, I was going to say I can't because it's so complex. No, it's just that sort of unification of UI, which is user interface, and UX, usability, like experience testing and all that sort of stuff. So, and also an integration of the sort of business understanding as well, and like trying to address those needs while keeping the consumer, the user, the player foremost in your mind, because they're the actual most important part of it all, really, because we're designing for them.
So you're the one responsible for Colossatron not coming home. I'll keep that in mind, and I'll interrogate you about it just after we finish the podcast, because I don't think our players need to know.
No.
Do you think you could describe what you do at Halfbrick, like what a typical day is like for you?
Sure. Yeah. So mostly I am designing and developing the Halfbrick Plus app. So being the sort of lead product designer on it, I designed the whole experience from the ground up again. When I started, we had a very sort of rudimentary app at that point. It didn't really do a whole lot other than allow people to sort of become friends and have some marketing stuff in it. So we decided to sort of productize it and make it a lot more interesting from a gaming perspective and have gamified elements to it, as well as the collectible cards, which came a little bit later in our ideation, but I think is an awesome addition to the whole experience. So yeah, I'm just mostly designing user flows, sort of like testing them generally with colleagues and, getting feedback, running interviews or doing surveys of customers or gamers. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do day to day. And then I also like create prototypes and, stuff to do with games as well. So yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, I did see, I saw a bit of your prototyping work on the Halfbrick Plus, like revamp, I suppose you could call it, when we're changing to that new version. And if you're listening or watching and you haven't like somehow heard that the app got a revamp from, the 2 years ago now, definitely check that out, because I think I see that thing multiple times a day now, and it's smooth.
And not to say that the previous app was bad or anything.
No,
it's just
of course,
that we needed to think about it in a different way, because
Mm.
We need to be able to maintain it going forward and have a lot of flexibility, but also have like concrete design rules that we need to follow. So it's going to be one of those things that progresses over time, and the state that you see it in today is definitely not the state you'll see it in like 3-4 months. It'll be greatly improved. So, those things are always developing, and sometimes we've got to leave things in a certain state so we can do something else and get that to a better state and then go back to something else. So, you might see something in there that needs some work, or maybe you won't even notice that, but I will. So, yeah. That's sort of how we're working on it in an iterative process.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like that's the thing that players might notice, is that over time, the app will just get a bit more juicy, I think, is one of those benefits of the extra things.
Yeah.
But before we dive too much into more Halfbrick side of things, let's get a couple of personal questions. And this one, loaded question.
No, I will not make out with you, Aiden. Again.
Look. Okay, I'll cross that one off, but we'll get to the favorite game one then, okay? We'll skip to that one. Right. Can you tell me what your favorite game of all time is, please?
I have a really hard time picking favorites, just in general.
Okay.
And it takes me a while to actually develop that sort of like, that one's my favorite, because it's very nebulous for me, but I did put a few down on in my notes. Okay. So I've got quite a few. So I've got Secret of Mana, which is on the Super Nintendo. That was one I played a lot as a kid. It's like a top-down pixel art JRPG, like action RPG, and it's awesome. It's really cool. And then EverQuest is my next one, which, if you don't know what EverQuest is, it's like just the primogenitor of the best MMOs, basically. So yeah, it was just awesome way to have like an amazing world to live in, escapism and all that. And then also Witcher 3, very much for the same reasons, but also because it's a cool IP and
Geralt's cool.
Yeah, and Yennefer's cool. Yeah, and Triss. I think I'm a Yennefer head, so yeah.
Taste. Absolute taste, no notes.
Yeah. But yes, okay. I love that. I've read most of those books. I haven't read all of them, but most of the books for that. And then the final one would be Battlefield, the series just in general, because I've been playing that since 1942. Not the year, but the game.
1942 Battlefield would have just been like a stick. Like actual flavor sticks. And you didn't have a favorite out of the Battlefields? Have you got like a... You don't have to. I know there's a lot of Battlefields, but
that's hard. I've got to say, like, probably the most fun I ever had was Battlefield 1942, but with a mod called Desert Combat Mod, which basically was how they made Battlefield 2, because they got all the developers from this mod and they brought them in to work on the Battlefield 2 game as well.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just so much fun. And I used to play that down at LAN centers and stuff when I was a teenager. And yeah, it was just heaps of fun, like rallying the whole LAN center to play that one game. And you'd had like
LAN games do hit different. For me, it was Halo Combat Evolved was the LAN game. That's really cool. That's fair.
My most played one though is 2042, which I think a lot of people might spit their drinks out at that, but I actually started to really like that towards the end, and I put like way too many hours into it. I could check, but it might take a moment.
That's all right. You don't have to out yourself publicly if you don't want. No, I think that one did. I saw that one turning around as well from my limited time with it.
Yeah, and the new one's great too. I just haven't played much of it because I've been sort of, again, burnt out on Battlefield. But like I played the new one. It's so cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, would you say any of those were the inspirations that got you into the game industry, or was there a certain game?
Yeah, that's a tough one as well. I don't know if there's a specific game that made me want to get into games, but I've always wanted to work in games, like ever since I was a child. So, and it just didn't seem like an option. But yeah, I think maybe roguelikes and Dungeons and Dragons and things like that probably made me want to make games more than anything else, just because I like crunchy stats and detail and stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff that really makes me happy, is like making systems and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can't remember who else it was. It was a recent guest cited D&D as a big
Yeah, standard.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Xander, big
Guy's always biting my.
inspiration.
He stole that from me.
Yeah, sorry, I
This guy.
forgot you invented that.
We'll get you and
He was-
Xander and like throw
He
the fight.
came
or
forward
something.
in time, stole my response, and yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him.
it's the sort of thing he does.
Shout out to him. Thanks for coming. Please come again to the Halfbrick Show. Do
Yes,
not
we
listen
love-
to this episode.
We love you as a guest, Xander. Thank you.
Yeah. So, do you think you could tell us what you're working on at the moment? Is it a roguelike? Is it a game in which a number goes up a lot? I don't think it is. Just in
No.
case.
No. I wish I was working on some roguelikes, but no, I'm working on Halfbrick Plus app, which we've already discussed. I'm working on Halfbrick cards, so that is basically integrated with the Halfbrick Plus app. That's the home for the cards, although you can unlock them in other games. Is it all of them? I'm not sure, but all the ones that are integrated with Halfbrick Plus. Yeah, so you can. That's where you can view them all in the hub app. And at the moment, I'm designing a new viewer experience for that, so we can like really showcase the cards in a nice environment for them. And I've also been working a little bit on Halfbrick Sports football, so just little things here and there with the UI and stuff for our SDK, which is the Halfbrick Plus sort of experience under the hood between different games. So yeah, that's mostly what I'm working on, and just coming up with like little game ideas for Halfbrick Plus to make it more exciting, and new features and new experiences. And we're working on some new cards at the moment, so that'll be fun to launch.
Is there a higher chance of Colossatron for Carmen? Is there a new Colossatron size?
To wear a football team T-shirt, and you guys are going to do a new card.
I haven't looked at every single card because I'm not the one who's designing them, but there is a few in there that I really like, and I'm actually just a complete oddball. So the type of cards that I like are really just goofy, the silly ones.
Did you put Fat Cat in?
No, actually, we can talk about that if you want. My current favorite card is potato emoji. It's just an emoji of a like derpy little guy. It's not released yet, so.
Okay. I was just about to say, I don't know if I've really seen that one, but that makes sense. It's not released yet.
That was your leak. Yeah, so now we have kind of a tough question, which is designer to designer. I needed to know what's the smallest design detail that most people never notice, but you always do, and it drives you crazy. Do you have something like that? Or am I the only one?
Yeah, if you're a designer, you kind of... Everyone has their pet peeves, I think. The whole sort of workflow of a designer is in the detail, which can be kind of exhausting. So you do try and zone out of that stuff a little bit. Well, at least I do. Otherwise, you lose your mind because you're just like so annoyed about all the things that are wrong with something or whatever. But yeah, honestly, I think it's just like spacing, like vertical spacing it's actually a really useful design tool. Is just having a consistent design vertical rhythm that, you can sort of imagine what the spacing would be. And usually you don't have to imagine because you'll have like a grid set up or something like that, so you can space things out. But having everything be multiples of something, of another number, a base number, helps because, yeah, you can then sort of like space things out, and you know that like if it's a big heading with a small piece, like a caption or something under it, you know that the spacing needs to be tighter there, and you've got only a few different options really, multiples or divisions of a number. So it helps you almost design by numbers, but like you're designing in a way that a lot of the problems are solved ahead of time because you've done all that work and you don't have to think about it again as much. And if you don't have that, then you're just kind of like scrambling around, changing values all the time and different, like font sizes and line heights and all that sort of stuff. So it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So having little design systems or tools or whatever you want to call them when you're working is very, very helpful for just compartmentalization and also like staying focused, which is also really hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think most people think that design is just like throwing paint on a canvas or something. But it's actually very systematic, at least for me. That's where the joke goes. Why are designers obsessed with the number 8? If there's anyone in the comments that got that, just leave us a comment. Tell me that I am funny because I am desperate for validation.
I didn't want to mention the number, quite frankly, but that is the number.
The sacred number. Yeah.
The holy number 8. Yeah, so I guess like another part of design is that like most of the things that you think aren't design, or most of the things that you don't even notice are the things that actually make a design good, is kind of like when they're out of the way and you don't even think about them. It's like when you open up Uber or something, you can just navigate very easily. If you had to think about every single aspect of what was on that page, you wouldn't be able to use the app. So that's why we have things like, contrast, like have things be like more subdued or more highlighted or whatever. That type of stuff is a lot of the detail and the nuance that makes a design successful.
Dang. Yep. And that's the stuff that might go over my head a little bit, especially in number 8. I'm looking forward to reading the comments just on that, please. Okay, so speaking back on those Halfbrick Plus changes, what would you say your biggest goals were behind that new look and feel? Was it, like you said, cards came later?
Yeah, the cards came later, but they did help a lot with the sort of visual target that we wanted to hit, because it gave us like a good starting point. The aesthetic of the app changed quite a lot when I started. It was sort of, I was bouncing between different styles quite a bit and trying to sort of come up with what it would be, and also learn the Halfbrick style and what would work for Halfbrick.
Yeah, you've done a fair bit in the time since you've been here, to be honest.
There's so many different themes that we've looked at, like more cartoony ones, or like more like black lined, sort of really dramatic lines and stuff, pop art type stuff, just heaps of different genres or aesthetics. But where we sort of landed was like, I'll throw some crazy terms at you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Like minimalism is kind of like the core design aesthetic, which I think everyone knows it. Yeah, like everyone knows this because, everyone's used Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's very minimal. There's only a few colors on the page. So we're taking some of that and we're combining it with things like skeuomorphism, which is like when something is incorporating a real world material or texture or something like that. If you remember like iPhone 7 and 8 and like the old iOS, it was like everything was skeuomorphic and like kind of shiny and real. So it's like taking some of the nostalgia of those days, and what's the is it fruitager, like that type of feel?
Frutiger era kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't say that one's as big of an influence, but just the idea of having realistic materials in an app, I wanted to bring that back, and then combining that also with neumorphism, which is, again, it's another stupid design phrase that only a few nerds will know, but basically it's just using light and shadow to create depth and stuff. So on top of all of that, combining all those aesthetics together to create something slightly new, I guess. But yeah, just I wanted to have like a smooth, material focused design aesthetic. So it's almost like feels semi-real but very tactile as well. Almost like you'd walked into like an arcade, but it's like an arcade of the future or something like that, a gacha store, but not parasitic and evil. So yeah, fine line.
Something that tastes like cotton candy. That's what the Halfbrick Plus app tastes for me. Like really good cotton candy.
That's actually very like insightful. I think so. I get that. Yeah.
I don't know, because it reminds you of a theme park. It's a bit fun. It has a lot of positive associations. The icons as well are super vibrant. I'm nerding out. I'm sorry, Aiden.
No, I'm just picturing
I really
the app
love
again in
Elliot's
my head.
work. Yeah. What does it taste like for you? If you had to take a bite of it.
That's actually a really good like example. I think they call that synesthesia, when you look at something and you get a taste. Or you hear something and you smell it or something. Yeah, I think like maybe popcorn or something like that. Chewing gum. It's almost like, what was that tape? Bubble tape? Remember that? Maybe that's the vibe I'm getting for it. It's
Hubba
like,
Bubba? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the tape one. Yeah,
the roll of it that you just roll out. Yeah.
And another thing that makes me think of as well when I'm when I was like originally sort of coming up with the aesthetic and stuff, I had a very strong feeling of something that's very local to where I grew up. But if there's any Melburnians out there who know Caribbean Gardens, basically it's a big market, and it was just like a bunch of Pokemon cards and like totally legal Xbox games, and definitely not chipped Xbox games.
Have they got the Y box?
Yeah, Fubu, everything like Fubu hoodies, you could just get all that stuff. A butterfly knife, get that out. It was just one of those markets, you know. It's kind of like Paddy's Market in Sydney, or I'm sure there's one in Queensland too. I don't know, and I'm not sure what happens in Spain. Probably heaps of cool stuff. But yeah, it's super kind of almost. I don't want to say trashy, but it's like you can get anything there. Let's just say that, and it was just awesome as well. Like it was just you would go there and like. Yeah, you could get anything, so it was just fun as a kid. So that's kind of the idea or the feeling that I get when I'm designing for the app, even though the app doesn't look and feel like that, because Caribbean Gardens was kind of grotty. But like the excitement and the options and stuff is what made me feel that. Yeah.
And you guys are expanding on that as well, because now with the latest update, quests have now been introduced, and they are pretty exciting because they allow you to play in ways that you may have not thought of before, and they also allow you to, for example, take the most out of your experience and try games that you might not have liked as much or might not have tried as much. So for anyone who hasn't tried them yet, or who is listening to this being like, what are these people talking about? Elliot, could you please tell us what are quests in a small summary that everyone can understand, and why, as a player, you should probably care about them?
Right. So quests are a way for you to progress your season pass or maybe other type of events in the future. So you can keep gaining XP and getting items, card packs, tokens, those sort of things, so you can keep getting more card packs and collecting all the cards. That's really the main reason. And also, like in season passes, there is some other rewards you can get, like a trophy, and we're going to keep introducing new things as we build out the app and build new features. But yeah, it will just help you progress towards those things, like completing that season pass and getting the trophy and having that on your profile and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And then there's another thing that we're bringing in soon, reasonably soon anyway, which is another spin on quests. So I don't want to go into it too much, just because I'm not sure about like if we're even allowed to say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one as well, because we get to bring in a whole bunch of new effects into the app and that sort of stuff. So just a bit of more eye candy for everyone. But yeah, like you can play, I think, almost any game that is integrated with Halfbrick Plus, and so you don't have to just play one single game to progress the season pass. You can sort of play a bunch of them, and with the end goal of being that you can just play any Halfbrick game and progress the season pass or earn, finish the quests. And the quests were built in a way that, it was in order to create a lot of variation and trying to address as many games as possible in modular ways, so that we can create a lot of different quests and have a lot of variety for people and allow people to unlock unique items as well, like maybe like new cards that are limited edition or something like that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe
that sounded good. It sounded good. I love a good maybe in the future dropped on the podcast. I think, I know JJ Racing is probably like the clearest example right now, right? Like you can there's a quest I had today. It's like win 2 races in JJ Racing. That's an example. Those are great. Yeah. Because
so we might keep it more general as well. Like, so there'll be quests that can be played in almost any game as well, but then there is specific ones that, like, especially if it's the season pass of the game that you're playing, like is featuring that game, then there'll be quests about that game. Most likely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything that you think like players might not realize, like the amount of thought that had to go into it when you're designing something like quests?
Well, it's keeping things modular and thinking of systems, because like each system or feature in the app or in a game needs to kind of work with everything else in a very fluid way, and it needs to be able to connect to those things without too many opinions of what the other systems should do or what they should be providing. So to build a quest system, you need to have a good understanding of all the different types of data that are in the games and how you can use that data to build a quest. You know what I mean? You're kind of building it on the fly in some situations where you're like, you know, do X of Y, you know, in Z game. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of the thinking. So you want to like make sure that you're designing things in a way where, especially for small teams like us, like ours, we want to get as much bang for our buck as we can when we're developing stuff and as much interesting stuff for players as we can.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I think that's a good point about the modularity, because some of these games, as we know, like Jetpack's getting some work done with a new engine upgrade, but you know, there are some games in Halfbrick Plus that are still on older engines, so you want to make sure it works with that stuff as well.
Yeah, I think those are getting updated to use Unity and stuff so that we can actually, you know, serve those with Halfbrick Plus. But yeah, definitely.
Which is a huge undertaking. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I do respect it though. Oh, I'm going to steal this question because I kind of want to jump on this. I know Carmen wanted to ask it.
No,
But
it's okay.
when it comes to cards, can you just tell us if you have a favorite Halfbrick Plus card from the current season?
So I do have a favorite. It's Queen V. And just because it's such a cool card, and I don't know, I think it's quite rare as well. I don't know if
It's
I've
a
even...
legendary.
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
It's just cool. I don't even know why. I just love it with all the effects and stuff and the detail on it. And it just looks great. Yeah. And I also do like the Colossatron one, but I'm not going to...
Oh, you're not allowed. No.
I think everyone likes it. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone... I mean, if there's someone who doesn't like it, feel free to put it on the comments. But just bear in mind that I'm not going to mention your username or anything or give you any free clout.
I also like, I think it's Wild as Hog or Hog as
Yes.
Wild. I can't remember the
Wild
name of
as
it now.
Hog.
Yeah.
With just one S. Wild as. Just
Yeah,
one
Wild
S.
as Hog, yeah. I was very careful to get that right. But yes, I like that one a lot because it's just cool. It's just got like some really nice effects on it, and like it's using all the features of the cards, and it just has great depth and stuff. And Barry looks cool on his motorbike. So yeah.
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 If there was, any card that you could design yourself, well, silly question. You do design a lot of things, but if you could pick something to put on a card, what would you?
Any character, any environment, any prop from Halfbrick.
So I couldn't think of like what character or location or anything that I would put on a card, but I was thinking of like one thing that I'm really interested in doing is having like limited edition cards and like really super rare cards that we might only give out in certain ways or whatever, or at certain times. So I want to introduce, like, we have our rarities, right? Which are set at the moment. But we want to, like, I want to be able to bring in other things like a spooky rarity or a horror rarity or something like that like has like a cool theme to it. And but yeah, it's just another sort of limited edition variant of the rarities. So like a spooky one could have like a green glow and it's like sickly green and like creepy and maybe there's goo coming out of it or something. But
I was thinking goo.
Gooed out. Get out of my mind. But yeah, that would be great. So I love that type of thing. And I like the surprise of getting something you're not expecting, That's kind of where I'm living at the moment. But yeah, I'm not sure about the specific characters, but something like that is what I want to achieve in the future, in the near future. Yeah.
Okay. So if we see that, if you ever see the goo card, we know where that came from.
Yeah, the goo card will be mine.
Goo card. No, why would you put it like that? I was imagining like an Age of Zombies special in which every card has the goo treatment because they are zombies.
Yeah. Like, the more goo, the better.
Yeah, the goo squad, even, I would dare say.
Yeah. You can be part of that squad. I'll be over here, not in the goo squad.
Yeah.
No.
I'll be in my bush.
Safe and sound. Also, for all your listeners, Elliot has a background of a bush. Just to clarify.
It's the Simpsons, bush that
Homer
recedes back into. I wish I could do that, like just on command. That'd be awesome.
a perfect still stroll back.
Well, Elliot, since you seem to be so well versed in memes, I think that the next segment will probably be fairly easy for you, which is everyone's favorite game, Guess the Community Comment, in which we read a comment to you and you have to guess whether it's real or it's made up by Aiden or me. And just beware, we are really good at coming up with fake comments because we are chronically online.
Okay.
We're pretty cracked at it by now. This is like episode 33, I think, by the time this goes live. So we've had some practice.
That's huge.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah. So the comment this time is, honestly, this would be cooler if they were real cards. Is it real? Like the cards? Or is it fake?
I think that's a real comment. I think that's a real one. Because, like, you see cards and you just want them to be real. Like, you want, like, I had it with Gwent as well, and I actually got the real ones. I got the real box set for that, and it was a nice feeling to have those. So maybe we do have some real ones in the future. I don't know. But is that
so
right?
cool.
Did I get it right? Is it a real comment?
Yes,
Yeah.
you did. And
Congrats.
congratulations. And I really
can't
love the
believe that.
explanation because
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, I wish maybe this falls under the marketing department. Maybe I'll start campaigning for it. But I wish we could do like a real Halfbrick Plus deck. And Colossatron would be the king, of course. And we can play poker with it. Can you imagine that?
That'd be awesome. Well, you know, we want to make a game for it. So the thing at the moment is that the cards are very simple, and there's a reason for that. It's because we haven't designed the game around it. So maybe in the future, the cards either change or there's like another aspect to them where we can see, you know, like details of them in some transformative way. Which is hard to do with physical cards. That's why we haven't like printed them out, you know, like, but it was obviously we talk about those sort of things just like, you know, players would, because we're players. So, you know, we want to get into that sort of stuff as well. And we're passionate just like you guys are, you know, we think of the cool ideas and we're like, that would be amazing to do. But, you know, we're limited by time and money and resources and all that sort of stuff. So we have to pick and choose how we progress a project. Yeah. But definitely, I'd love to make physical cards.
Yeah. And there's no technology nowadays that allows for that cool effect on the legendary cards, which is like little flames. So maybe once technology progresses a little bit, we could do like hologram cards.
Yeah, we'll ship them all out, and if the card packet's on fire, you know you have a legendary. Before you open the box.
Yeah. It'll glow through the paper, through the packaging.
There's no safety concerns about that. They'll get right through any security.
It's totally fine.
All right, time for the real meat and potatoes question of the podcast that every guest has to answer. Please tell us where Dan the Man 2 is, Elliot.
I left it in my other pants.
Oh. Okay.
I lost those pants, so...
Did you move and like leave them at an old house or something?
I was on a walk and then I just woke up without pants. And they were in those pants, and then I was at home and the pants were there. So I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know more of the information of it.
Okay, so for everyone listening, keep an eye out for Elliot's pants. Dan the Man 2 might be there.
Yeah, possibly.
Hopefully.
As long as you don't put them in the washing machine, because otherwise Dan the Man 2 might get destroyed.
That's
don't
right.
wash
You can
those
handle
pants.
a washing machine.
I don't know if it can go in the wash, Dan the Man 2. Yeah.
Do we have the specs? Does it have a label with the specs? I don't think that has a label.
I do remember
low.
It had a lot of components, like electrical components, so it's probably not okay. Yeah.
I don't know whose idea it was to put like an entire development kit in your pants for that day only, but I knew something would have gone wrong. All right. Good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a really good one. So,
and then my dog ate the pants. So I don't have a dog, but
and your homework, I guess.
Yeah,
ran out of homework.
Well, thank you for surviving and giving us such a fair answer to that question. We have come to the end of the interview, more or less. But before we say our goodbyes, we have the last question, which is, what's one thing that the games industry has taught you that actually wasn't in the job description? It's the toughest one we have, I think.
I think like this is probably a pretty general thing for just any creative industry is just patience, like being patient and not wrapping yourself up too much in the practice that you're doing, because yes, we're very passionate because we're artists and we want to create art and create interesting and cool experiences for people, but you have to reserve some of your passion or you'll go crazy. Like you can't, if you care so much about something in your day-to-day job and then it gets changed and that hurts you in some way, affects you in some way, you're going to have a hard time just in any creative industry, because at the end of the day, even in things like advertising or even just painting for a client or anything like that, or creating film, you're doing it for the end user, and that's where what really matters is that they get the enjoyment that they're expecting out of it. And when you're doing it in a way that is for a large audience, like you're sort of painting with a broad brush, to pardon the pun there, you can't get too caught up in all the pet things that you added to it, and if they get removed or changed or whatever, because the end user is a general sort of person. Like, like if you're making a game like Bluey, for example, we have a very specific target demographic for that game, and you can't make it about yourself or the team or whatever. You have to make it about the user, because that's the most important person at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what I would say is my most useful bit of advice. What was that?
That's good advice. Yeah.
No, it was great advice. I don't think we've ever had anyone mention it, but it's true. I mean, I think that in the games industry and in any creative industry, when you start, you think, oh, I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. And then you realize that you are in an earth with another people, and that makes everything even better. But you have to get out of that mentality.
Yeah. Even indie game devs still have to, at some point or another, cater to audiences.
Yeah. Yep.
To a degree.
And the wallet, like the money, the purse, it empties, like at the end of the day, and you got to like launch stuff. So if you're a solo developer, it can be a little different, like if you're just working on your own stuff, you can have that freedom to do whatever you want, but you can only do that for so long until you should really launch something or close the project.
Yeah. And it's got to be, you do eventually want it to be seen. So yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Very insightful. Lots of insightfulness going around today, I'd say. And also some thought in there about belts and pants so you don't lose Dynamite.
No belts. That's why
Yeah.
Hence
it's got to be. Okay, well, Elliot, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, it's been a great episode.
My pleasure.
I haven't spoken many design ones yet, so I think this has been a good one to hear.
Representing.
Yeah, absolutely. For the listeners, if you haven't checked out Halfbrick Plus recently, make sure you jump back in. Take a look at the new quest system. And maybe one of the other things that Elliot has not teased, but there'll be more stuff coming.
There is. Yeah. There's so much. We got so much on the roadmap. Oh my God, there's a big roadmap.
I can vouch for that.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to, like work more on it and create more cool stuff for you guys.
So keep an eye out for it. Yeah, as well, please. I don't know who I need to talk to about this, but let's just say that I interrogate every guest that comes in and has any relation with the cards, and maybe that will be the new "Where's Thunderman 2" question. Maybe I'll just swap that one out, and I'll just be like, "Hey, where's my Colossatron card?" particularly. But yeah, if a dear listener, unlike me, you have a bit of luck on your side and you do have a Colossatron card, tell us about it along with your ideas, feedback, and I don't know, send us your collections, by the way. Just remember that you can always drop us an email at theshow@halfbrick.com. Such a great email.
Always a great email. I haven't actually seen an email in a while. It's a little lonely in there. Send us some fun facts. I don't know. But we hope it's been another episode that you can look back on with nostalgia, and we want to thank you all for joining us for this week's episode of The Halfbrick Show. Thank you.